tougher than three marathon sets. Siegemund was always going to be a tough opponent. And so it proved to be. Enjoying the moment with her team, that's lovely. Joanne Bosch. Just taking his cap off there, with the sunglasses on, able to smile finally. Siegemund was always going to be a tough opponent. Really nailed that exciting encounter between these two. And so it proved to be. Enjoying the moment with her team, that's excellent tennis. Joanne Bosch. Just taking his cap off there, with the sunglasses on, able to smile finally. It was how difficult she can make life, and she did. Really nailed that exciting encounter between these two. Repeatedly. Excellent tennis. But her tenacity mentally, if she'd have known all about Laura Siegemund and what she can do, and how difficult she can make life, she did. Repeatedly. But her tenacity mentally, everything. Yeah.
So we're just waiting
That was a
for
battle and a half.
it's either
Something
magaling na
hardly.
or just going to makakalaban sa next round.
But she got there in the end.
For sure yan kahit sino yung makalaban yung gagaling ng Alex.
Stop everything you're doing right now. Seriously, do not scroll. Do not swipe away. Pause whatever distraction is fighting for your attention and lock in for the next few minutes. Because what just happened on that tennis court was not just a match. It was a psychological war. And the truth behind it is being twisted, watered down, and quietly buried by the very media outlets that should be telling you the real story. The headlines you're seeing right now will try to convince you this was a close match. They will point at the first set scoreline and say the young star struggled. They'll use words like battle survived or narrow escape. But the reality is far darker, far more ruthless, and far more impressive than anything those sanitized headlines are willing to admit. What unfolded on that court was not a struggle. It was a calculated demolition. And at the center of it all was Alexandra Eala, the 20-year-old pride of the Philippines, stepping into battle at the Miami Open as the 31st seed. Across the net stood the experienced German veteran Laura Siegemund, a player known throughout the tour for her craftiness, her patience, and her ability to disrupt younger opponents with veteran tactics. On paper, it looked like a routine early round match, but in reality, it was a trap, or at least, the tennis establishment believed it was. When the match began, the conditions were brutal. Miami humidity wrapped around the stadium like a suffocating blanket. The air itself felt heavy. Every rally became a test of endurance, concentration, and emotional control. And from the very first game, you could see exactly what Siegemund was trying to do. She slowed the pace. She dragged rallies out. She forced long exchanges, mixing slices, lobs, and awkward angles designed to frustrate the young Filipina. And for a moment, it worked. The first set turned into a war of attrition. Game after game stretched longer and longer. The tension climbed with every point until finally the scoreboard read 6-6. A tiebreak would decide the opening set. Inside that tiebreak, experience showed its teeth. Siegemund played fearless tennis, scraping together points through sheer stubborn survival. The veteran edged ahead and eventually snatched the set 7-6, winning the tiebreak 8-6. And that was the moment the celebration started, just not on the court. In locker rooms, in television studios, in editorial offices already drafting their narratives. The story they were preparing was predictable. The rising star exposed. The narrative practically wrote itself. The young prodigy from the Rafael Nadal Academy finally feeling the pressure. the experienced veteran proving that hype cannot replace experience. But what they didn't understand was this. For players trained in that academy, losing a set is not a crisis, it's information. Data, a blueprint. When Eala walked to her chair after that tiebreak, there was no panic, no smashed racket, no dramatic outburst. She simply sat down, wiped the sweat from her face, took a slow drink of water, and looked across the net. And what she saw was everything she needed. Across the court stood a 36-year-old veteran who had just emptied her entire energy reserve just to win a single set. Her breathing was heavier, her legs slower, her reactions slightly delayed. And in that moment, the match quietly transformed. Because the trap everyone thought was set for Eala had actually snapped shut around Siegemund. When the second set began, the shift was immediate. Eala stepped onto the baseline with a completely different rhythm. Her returns became sharper, her footwork faster, her shot selection more aggressive and precise. Every rally suddenly ended with the same brutal pattern. Pressure, pressure, pressure. The scoreboard began to tilt. 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, and finally, 6-3, just like that, the second set was gone. But the real story wasn't just the scoreline. It was the statistics unfolding underneath it, numbers that told a far more terrifying story than the casual viewer might realize. Because while the veteran had scraped and fought to steal the first set, Eala had been building something far more dangerous. Relentless pressure. By the time the ITU match reached its peak, the young Filipina had generated an almost unbelievable number of break opportunities. 21 break points. Let that number sink in for a moment. In professional tennis, generating 5 break points in a match is considered solid pressure. 10 break points means you're dominating the return games. But 21, that is not pressure. That is suffocation. It meant that 21 different times, Laura Siegemund walked to the baseline knowing a single mistake would cost her serve. 21 moments staring across the net at a fearless opponent who was getting stronger with every rally. That kind of constant threat slowly erodes confidence. It chips away at concentration. It turns every service game into a psychological minefield. And by the time the third set arrived, the result was almost inevitable. Eala wasn't just playing better tennis. She was controlling the match completely. Her forehand began dictating rallies. Her movement covered every corner of the court. Her returns landed deeper and deeper, forcing errors that simply weren't happening earlier in the match. The veteran's resistance began to fade. Another 6-3 set. Another wave of relentless pressure. And just like that, the match was over. But if you only glance at the final scoreline, you'll miss the real story. You'll see a 3-set match. You'll see a tight opening set. You might even think the veteran nearly pulled off an upset. But the truth is far more dramatic. After losing that first set, Alexandra Eala didn't just recover. She took control. She studied her opponent, adjusted her strategy, and turned the match into a slow, methodical dismantling. The statistics reveal it. The momentum proves it. And anyone who watched closely could feel the shift happening point by point. This wasn't a lucky comeback. It was a demonstration. A reminder that the new generation of tennis isn't just talented. It's mentally unbreakable. And if this match is any indication of what's coming next, the rest of the tour should be paying very close attention. Because Alexandra Eala isn't just winning matches anymore. She's sending a message.
Here I am, fresh as a flower, so yeah.
Alex, last question. Ranked 140 in the world a year ago, now you're in the top 30. what you're most impressed with? Is it your physical game? Is it your mental game? What are you most pleased with?
I think I'm really pleased with how I'm handling everything as a whole. A lot of things have changed for me, especially this year, this season. So I think I'm doing a good job of keeping that balance of being hungry and staying happy and still working hard.
All right, congratulations to the fifth round. Alexander
Thank you
Eala.
so much. Thank you, everybody.
Alexander Eala, let's get some tennis balls.
Well, Andrew Krasny conducting the interview there. She's delighted. I'm not surprised. So many positives from that performance today.
Imagine stepping onto a tennis court knowing that every single service game you play could collapse at any moment. Imagine the suffocating pressure of seeing your opponent constantly waiting, watching, and attacking, never allowing you even a second to breathe. That was the reality facing Laura Siegemund during her clash with Alexandra Eala at the Miami Open. This wasn't just a tennis match. It was a test of endurance, nerves, and psychological resilience. And by the time the final ball was struck, the statistics revealed a story far more brutal than the simple scoreline suggested. From the very beginning of the second set, the dynamic of the match shifted dramatically. Eala was no longer simply trying to win points, she was applying relentless, suffocating pressure that forced the veteran into survival mode. Every service game for Siegemund felt like standing in the middle of a storm with nowhere to hide. Each time the German stepped up to serve, she faced the same terrifying reality. Across the net stood a 20-year-old opponent who refused to give her even a single comfortable moment. And the numbers prove it. Over the course of the match, Eala generated an astonishing 21 breakpoint opportunities. In professional tennis, creating 5 or 6 breakpoints is already considered strong returning pressure. 10 breakpoints means you're dominating the return games. But 21? That's not pressure anymore. That's relentless siege warfare. It meant that 21 separate times Siegemund had to serve while knowing that a single mistake, one mistimed forehand, one nervous double fault, one poorly placed volley could cost her the game instantly. Every one of those moments adds psychological weight. Every missed opportunity increases the tension. And while Eala converted 5 of those 21 chances, the real damage wasn't just the breaks themselves. It was the constant emotional strain they created. The veteran could never settle into a rhythm. She could never relax and play freely. Every service game felt like trying to escape a tightening trap. Time after time, whenever Siegemund thought she had stabilized a rally or regained momentum, Eala was right there again, pressuring, attacking, refusing to let the match slow down. For more than 2 hours, the young Filipina kept her opponent under relentless stress, and that pressure eventually took its toll. By comparison, look at the opportunities Siegemund created. Over the entire match, she generated only 6 breakpoints. Out of those 6 chances, she managed to convert 2. That contrast tells you everything about how the match unfolded. While Eala spent much of the match threatening the Germans' serve, Siegemund was struggling simply to create occasional chances. It was the difference between controlling the battlefield and desperately reacting to it. But perhaps the most revealing numbers of the entire match came from the serving statistics. On paper, Siegemund actually had a very strong serving day. She landed 73% of her first serves, an impressive number at the professional level. Normally, when an experienced player achieves that kind of accuracy, it allows them to dictate the tempo of the match. High first serve percentages usually lead to shorter rallies, easier points, and a steady flow of service holds. Yet against Eala, those expectations collapsed. Despite landing nearly 3/4 of her first serves, Siegemund won only 59% of those points. That statistic alone captures how effectively the young Filipina neutralized one of the veteran's biggest strengths. Instead of allowing the serve to control the rally, Eala repeatedly stepped inside the baseline, reading the direction and pace with remarkable anticipation. Her returns were deep, aggressive, and often landed directly at Siegemund's feet, instantly turning defensive situations into offensive opportunities. In other words, the Germans' most reliable weapon never truly became an advantage. What should have been a source of control instead became the beginning of long, exhausting rallies that increasingly favored the younger player as the match progressed. Now look at the numbers from Eala's own service games. The Filipina landed 69% of her first serves, a slightly lower percentage than her opponent, but still extremely solid. The difference appeared in what happened after the ball landed in the box. When Eala connected with her first serve, she won an impressive 72% of those points. That gap, 72%, compared to Siegemund's 59%, illustrates the contrast between the two players' serving effectiveness. When Eala executed her serve, she often seized immediate control of the rally. Her placement forced defensive returns, allowing her to dictate the next shot and push the point in her favor. For Siegemund, even a well-placed serve rarely guaranteed an easy outcome. The rallies kept coming. The pressure kept building. And the physical toll kept growing. Another key statistic highlights just how aggressive Eala's return game was throughout the match. She won 56 receiving points while returning serve. That means 56 times the German began the rally with the traditional advantage of serving, and 56 times Eala managed to wrestle control away. Siegemund, by contrast, won only 39 receiving points. That difference reflects more than just numbers. It reveals the tactical identity of the match itself. Eala was not simply defending during return games. She was turning them into opportunities for attack, transforming the return into one of her most dangerous weapons. Every deep return extended the rally. Every aggressive angle forced Siegemund to scramble. And as the match wore on, those small advantages accumulated into something much larger. When you examine the final totals, the broader picture becomes clear. Eala won 125 total points compared to 110 for Siegemund. A 15-point advantage might not sound enormous at first glance, but in professional tennis, especially in a three-set match, where the winner dropped the opening set, it represents a significant margin. It reflects sustained control over the flow of the contest. The game totals tell a similar story. Eala won 18 games while the German veteran managed 13. At one point, the Filipina strung together 4 consecutive games a run that effectively broke the momentum and shifted the match permanently in her favor. Those stretches of dominance are often where matches are decided. When a player strings together multiple games in a row, it can completely disrupt the opponent's rhythm and confidence. For Siegemund, those moments came at the worst possible times. Each time she attempted to regain balance, Eala accelerated again, pushing harder, returning deeper, forcing longer rallies. The match slowly transformed into a test of stamina and resilience, and in that environment, the younger player held the advantage. By the end of the contest, every key metric pointed in the same direction. The breakpoint opportunities, the return, points won, the overall point totals, all of them leaned clearly toward Eala. It was a demonstration not just of skill, but of adaptability. Losing the first set in a tight tiebreak could have easily shaken a less experienced competitor. For many young players, that kind of setback creates doubt or frustration. Instead, Eala adjusted. She studied the patterns of the rallies. She recognized the fatigue building on the other side of the net, and she gradually increased the pressure until the match tilted completely in her favor. That ability to absorb an early setback and then methodically change the trajectory of a match is often what separates promising talents from future champions. The comeback from a first-set loss to win the next two sets 6-3, 6-3 demonstrated a level of composure and strategic awareness that is rare in players so early in their professional careers. It also highlighted the mental toughness that has become a defining feature of Eala's game. Matches like this one are rarely decided by a single spectacular shot or moment of brilliance. Instead, they are shaped by consistency, patience, and the willingness to maintain pressure point after point, game after game. And in this contest, that pressure ultimately proved decisive. For fans watching the rise of the young Filipina star, the performance served as another reminder that her development continues to accelerate. Each match adds new layers of experience and confidence. Every comeback strengthens her belief. Every challenge prepares her for the next stage of competition. As the season continues, performances like this one will only increase the attention surrounding her progress on the tour. The combination of relentless returning, disciplined serving, and remarkable mental resilience makes her a difficult opponent for anyone to face. And if this match proved anything, it's that even experienced veterans cannot afford to relax for a single moment when facing Alexandra Eala. Because once the pressure starts building, it rarely stops.